feel bad for him. Cover. Okay, really excited about this football game. It's such a traditional game, and there's so much history. Just to be part of this, I think, is very special and very humbling. 125th edition of the oldest rivalry in the South here, University of Richmond and William and Mary. Got great respect for Coach Laycock and his program and for his players. I think he's got a really good team this year. I think that they are a very complete team. They complement each other in all three phases of the game. Offensively, they control the ball with that offensive line and that ground game with those two running backs. I think their quarterback's having a really, really good season, managing the game, making good decisions, playing very efficiently. Dedmon's a very talented, dangerous receiver and return man. Defensively, I think they have a premier player in the D-line, at linebacker, and in the secondary. So on all three levels, I think they've got a premier quality, all-conference type of player. Then in the kicking game, and they've been explosive in their return game. So they've been playing really good football, very complimentary football. They're making themselves hard to beat, and thus they're enjoying success and in the midst of a pretty significant winning streak. So we're excited about the opportunity and look forward to kick this thing off here on Saturday in front of a sellout crowd here in Robins Stadium. I'll take any questions here.
As far as the numbers go, you guys are almost identical. Do you get that feeling looking at them on film?
Yeah, I think in some ways we are very similar philosophically. I think in our league right now with how we want to run the ball, how they like to run the ball, how we like to possess the football. I think philosophically both programs are very similar in what we're doing. I sense that in a lot of ways. I think of late they've been playing a little more consistent than we have, and that's just something that we're going to have to take care of and handle here on Saturday. Obviously we were able to string together a 7-game winning streak, which shows some real signs of being a really good football team. So, we'll wait and see how this thing plays out, but there's a lot more similarities than differences, I think, when
Any message from you to the guys after kind of the recent mini slump here?
Well, yeah, there's certainly always a message. There's always things to address, I think, as you continue to try to move forward and prepare yourself for the next game, the next opponent. I think the biggest thing is the reality that we've got a really good football team and that we've done some things this year that really demonstrate our ability to play at a very high level. I think when you look at our signature win this year on the road down at James Madison, I think when you look at some of the outcomes and scores of some of the games during our 7-game winning streak, I think you recognize there that we were playing at a very high level and doing some things that a lot of teams in our league were not doing during that stretch of time. We've only been outgained one this year, and that was at Maryland. So we've got 7 wins here on the season. We're sitting at 5-2 in conference play. We're ranked 14th and 16th in the 2 polls. So we've got a good football team. So I think the ability to continue to recall and recognize those facts is very important as we look to bounce back here. And being back at home, I think, will have a lot of impact on that.
Is there a little bit of a different feel? I know the fans really get into the rivalry a lot, but for you guys in the locker room, is there a little, you approach every game the same, but is there a little bit of a different feel to this one?
Yeah, there is. I probably would recognize that there are a number of reasons for that, though. I do think, the geography, the in-state, in-conference, the natural rivalry, the history, but even without that, I think when you have two teams playing at the end of the season for a share of or for outright, as in their case, conference championship, it's going to have a little different feel about it during the course of the week. And then as you look in postseason possibilities, that's another area that adds a little more intensity to it. So all those things, I do think, factor into a great experience, great opportunity, and what I really do think promises to be an outstanding football game.
2 weeks ago, you mentioned going to Villanova, that they had a bit of desperation around their program. Do you sense any of that around your program now after the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I don't know if I remember saying that, but I probably would concur that the two most recent opponents of ours were in a do-or-die situation. I don't know. I think that it's a human nature reality. It's kind of all tied up in the psychology of winning. You know, this is our one last chance here at the end. The argument could be made that we had a chance last week and the week before. But this is our one last chance here to claim stake to this conference championship. So having said that, I would agree that there's always that sense, the reality that this could be do or die here in this particular moment. And then, you know, the ability to get the players to embrace that moment and stay in the moment and appreciate the moment and to be at their best when it matters the most. And that's at the end, and that's in moments like this.
Did you get the sense your team after Villanova was more disappointed or more mad?
I'd say more hurt. It's probably closer to disappointed than mad. But I'd say more hurt, you know, kind of stung a little bit. I think that, you know, that happened to be a game where we won a number of statistical categories, you know, and when you look at that, you revisit that, there's a lot of things in that game that would spell victory for your football team. And then there were 4 or 5 plays that I think any one of those 4 or 5 plays would have truly changed the outcome in our favor, and they all kind of went against us on that night. And those are the things that are hard to put your finger on sometimes in assessing outcomes like that. Therefore, I say a little hurt, you know, but the thing, and I think this is the great thing, is, you know, we all hurt together. You know, we collectively hurt and feel the pain of defeat. And the thing that's exciting for me, and I've expressed this to our players, is that's because we expect to win. I mean, there is no pain if you don't expect to win. And we are at the point in our culture and in our program that we expect victory. And when you get to that point and you do suffer defeat or setback, you recognize that you suffer it together, that we're all in this together, and there's a true unity within the ranks. And I think there's an awful lot of power in that. The power of hope, the power of belief, and I think all those things are things that we're looking at as we continue to focus back in here on William and Mary.
You mentioned desperation in a way.
I didn't, he did.
He did.
Thank you.
Apologies. Yeah, good there, but
Just clarifying that. There's nothing said by me about that. Go ahead.
Being hurt and a lot of emotions, finishing with William and Mary, that can be used for good and also for bad as a double-edged sword. How do you go about keeping it so that they're focused and clear and not hazy on we just need to win and beat William and Mary?
Yeah, there's a lot there, I think, and but you know, it's like the reality is we're in the exact same position we were in last year, exact, and we won on the road. So whatever it is that we had to do, we did it, you know, and we figured that formula out. Now, will the formula work here this year? Well, it's a different year. It's 2 different teams. But as far as the approach, I don't think the approach changes very often. It's a process that we believe in and that we have trust in terms of just our preparation and our attention to detail. and are focusing on the things that matter most, and that's our preparation. And I think that all these questions and all this conversation is great conversation, but that's really all it is. It's conversation. You know, it's the reality at 3 o'clock. I'm going to talk to my team. I'm going to address the things that I think need to be addressed. And we're going to go out there and we're going to focus in on practicing to the best of our ability in preparation for what we expect to be an outstanding football game. So it's the excitement of college football. And, you know, to be one of those teams that is playing for something here on Saturday is really exciting. And we all find ourselves in these moments. We arrive here in different, and we've arrived here because we put together a streak. We had a pretty solid year to this point, and we need to play well here on Saturday.
Have a relationship or interaction or just thoughts about Frank Beamer as he wraps up his career down in Blacksburg?
Yeah, I have got a lot of really fond memories of Coach Beamer and an awful lot of appreciation for what Coach has done here in the state of Virginia and in our region here. As you guys know, as I six. This is my fourth here. So that's about 15 years of service here in the state of Virginia as a college football coach. So to have watched Coach Beamer go about his business and build that program the way he did and to sustain success the way that he has been able to do that is remarkable. And he's done it all the right way. You know, he gets good kids. They build character. They're tough. They're physical. And they expect to win. And it's a trademark of his programs. And so with that goes an awful lot of respect and admiration to not only the coach, but also the man and what he has built there in Blacksburg. All right, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much.
Trevor, it appears to be as balanced an offense as the one you go against in practice every day. Do you get the same feeling? And if so, how beneficial is it going against your offense, seeing one that's so similar on Saturday?
Yeah, it's a very similar offense. They're a run-first offense. We become a run-first offense. They have two good backs. We have two good backs. So it's a lot of similarities. They take their shots down the field. We take our shots down the field. So it's definitely beneficial to us to go against our offense, especially when we get to go against a back like Jacoby. So it helps prepare us for those two backs that they have.
Jacoby, what was the mood in the locker room and on the way home from Villanova? Coach said more disappointed and hurt than maybe mad. Do you agree with that, or is there a little more anger over watching that one slip away?
Like you said, disappointments. There was a couple big moments in the game that could have went our way, as he said, that didn't. That's where the disappointment came in. We came in that game thinking that we was going to win. Well, thinking we was going to win, so we can be in this game with an 8-2 record. 8-2 record, but it didn't happen, so we were disappointed. We're going to bounce back this week, though.
Jacoby, does this feel like just trying to approach every game the same? Does this one feel a little bit different in the locker room?
Yes, to a certain extent. I don't see it. I personally don't see it as a rival, but it always comes down to this game, whether we get in the playoffs or win the CAA championship. That is what I see it as. I mean, this is a rival, the oldest rival in the South. I take it as we got to win. We just got to beat them.
You remember last year being in the same situation, and can you draw on that week when you get ready for this week, knowing that everything is pretty much the same?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. It's just that our offense is a little different, a lot different. I mean, there's no big pressure. There's a pressure, but we're not going to be pressured on the situation. We're just going to come out and execute like we have during the season.
Trevor, do you remember getting ready for this week last year?
Yeah, it's kind of taking on like a similar approach. Guys last year knew that we had to win to get in. We know this year that we had to win to get in. So I think everyone's anxious. It's just the same as last year. Just trying to get prepared to go out here and win a football game.
Have either one of you lost to William and Mary? Has he won 3 straight? I don't think either one of you have lost, have you?
No.
I think the year I redshirted, we lost here. I think it was on the last play of the game. The last play of the game. Yeah. I actually talked to Coach Trout about that yesterday, and we were talking about how that one hurt just as much as the Villanova one did. Last play of the game, kind of situation.
When you guys go about preparation for this week, we've thrown out the words of it hurt and kind of desperation for getting to the playoffs. That can be used for good and for bad, and just trying to stick to what you want to do. How do you go about, as some of the leaders on this team, to making sure that everyone is focused on the goal at hand, which, as you mentioned, Jacoby, is just making the playoffs and winning that share of the CAA?
Well, as leaders on the team, we just try to make sure our guys are focused. We feel like everyone understands what's at stake. Everyone wants to go to the playoffs. You don't want to come here and not go to the playoffs, especially when you can control it. We feel like we should have won the last 2 games, and obviously we didn't. So we know we have to get this one and get into the playoffs, and we're just trying to make sure everyone understands.
Everybody is focused. We all just focus on getting into the playoffs. This game has been big every year, so everybody knows the magnitude of the game. As leaders, we just got to go to practice and make sure everybody's focused, the energy is up, and we're ready to go for Saturday.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, fellas.
Thanks, appreciate it, guys. Good luck.
Thank you.